Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever and wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS strategy show, and I'm your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. Joining me for the next hour to talk about the one shared love in our life, that is Los Angeles Kings 2, our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. Last night was a little crazy. Our first real scramble on Live Before Lock. It was quite interesting talking to 700 people while setting the lineup. It was fun, a little stressful, but I enjoyed it. Here we are again. Hopefully we don't get, crazy news like it's an NBA slate. Those guys are just nuts for going on Live Before Lock in NBA. So hat tip to them, or stick tap to them. Hopefully we don't get crazy news tonight.
Yeah, it really makes me appreciate the NBA guys. I went 20 max last night. I didn't have any scrambles to do because I didn't have any Matt Zuccarello, so it wasn't a big deal for me. But obviously that was a situation where, if you're 20 maxing or 150 maxing or something like that, you pretty much have to do everything over again because you're either just straight swapping to somebody that's not on that line, or you're saving like $3,000 to keep it fully correlated or whatever it was. But it was a little bit of a scramble. Hopefully we don't get a big scramble like that again. I see one question already in chat. Will Nazem Kadri jump to line one or still on line two? He'll probably be on line two. Expect Mikko Rantanen to center the top line. We are sponsored by Yahoo Fantasy. Thank you very much, Yahoo, for being our official sponsor. And thank you very much, Bang Energy Drink, for being our unofficial sponsor. Yahoo has been our sponsor this entire season, and they've been very good to us. So if you're new here, if you're a first-time DFS player over on Yahoo, you can get some free money from them. Stick around, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Got to shout out a couple people. Hofbrau, I saw he had a good night last night, finished top three in the $15 for $20K for third place, if I'm not mistaken. And our buddy, Ship My Money, Adam Scherer, one of the NBA guys, he took down the 121 single entry, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty good night for those guys. I didn't do that well. I got back 2/3 of my entries playing a 20 max. I'll take it. It's better than losing everything. It was the Islanders that really helped me late. I ended up with a lot of Parise, with a lot of Palmieri. That really took some of my Austin Matthews lineups into the cash, but not a profitable night, but not going to complain either. How'd you do, Josh?
So the Riddick news got me on to Florida. The problem with that was I took out San Jose 1 and I had St. Louis 2, which just killed me. Like if I took out St. Louis 2 and put in Florida, I'd be swimming in it. But those are the decisions and mistakes you make when you're in one lineup. Revisionist history is always 2020. So made a mistake there, but tonight's a new night. People are like, oh, the GPPs are not as good. Like if I'd be more upset if I was an MME player about the GPPs, but how often am me as a single entry player going to be winning the 150 max contests? Yeah, I get it. Like I've been pushing for $40 with a 4-figure or 5-figure first prize for a while now, because that's only like 30 max if you get up to 10K to first. We'll see. I don't know why I just veered off into just slamming DraftKings GPPs, but that's sometimes where the road takes me.
Yeah, usually when you go off in your tangents, I just kind of stop. Stop everything, and I just let you go. I've learned over the years not to get in your way. I definitely don't. Yeah, you could definitely just kind of Spartan kick me and just keep on going if you wanted to. So I'll just let you keep on ranting as long as you
don't know why. Like I just like veered. It's like that. What's that meme? The car with the exit, and it's like this and then this. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be an NHL show if you didn't veer off the off ramp as fast as possible every once in a while. Before we get too much further, if you guys could in chat, throw us a thumbs up, click that like button. It really helps us. It'll really help us out for this show, and click that subscribe button. If you have not subscribed already to this channel, we have PGA, we have MMA, we had NASCAR over the weekend. We're going to have more NASCAR, obviously. NBA comes back this week, tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So lots coming up here on these channels. Make sure you're subscribed and make sure you click that notification bell so you get alerts whenever we do go live with these shows. We also have free premium tools and data up on the site. If you guys aren't subscribers, you can check out what we have to offer and then make a decision about maybe subscribing with us after that. Today we have our NHL top stacks free up on the site, as well as our PGA golfer projections for the Honda Classic this week. So whether you're playing NHL tonight or PGA this week, there's something up on the site to help you out. If Josh and I talk about top stack percentage or line ownership or anything like that, we get our numbers from our top stacks tool. So you can follow along. Just head on over to awesemo.com. Check out our top stacks tool. That is free today. We also have a little podcast giveaway going over through our podcast channel. So head on over to the Awesemo podcast channel. And if you leave us a 5-star review with your Twitter handle, and your Awesemo username included, you will be entered to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right, Josh, we only have 5 games to get through, but we want to leave maybe 10 minutes at the end of the show or something like that for some questions as lock approaches. Obviously, 4 games starting at the same time, so there could be a little bit of a scramble here. So let's start with these games. Edmonton, 2.7 implied goal total. They're going into Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay Lightning have a 3.8 implied goal total. Mike Smith starting for Edmonton. Nobody confirmed yet for the Lightning, but it probably should be Vasilevsky. Tampa Bay hasn't played in 8 days, if I'm not mistaken. And you and I talk about how some rest is good. Too much rest can turn to rust. I mean, it'll be good for them in the long term, I imagine. But in the short term, it can lead to a little bit of rust. But it's Mike Smith in net, and he hasn't been very good this year. What do you think about this game overall? Because I think there's probably some very interesting matchups on both sides.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on the rest aspect to Tampa because we saw teams like the Rangers, the Sharks, the Kings. They came out really quick and then they just like died off. But Tampa, on the other hand, they're pretty much a veteran team here. Back-to-back Stanley Cups. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like 8 days is going to do them good. They played so much hockey the past years. Maybe it hurts them tonight, but I think you're right. In the long run, it's definitely going to help them. In the short term, maybe they had a couple guys nicked up, healed up. The thing is, like, this is such a good matchup that it's kind of hard to ignore. And, you know, I had some questions about how they line match, and then, you know, you shared with me that the last time Kucherov was at home, the point Kucherov line was going out against the second lines, and Stamkos was getting top comp, which is just wow. You know, it's just crazy because point Kucherov Polak getting Evander Kane, Draisaitl, Yamamoto is just insane because Draisaitl, Kane, Yamamoto creates a lot offensively, but they also give it up. Incredible, like so, like both ways. Just they're just up and down the ice, up and down the ice, up and down the ice. So like, yeah, like rest factor be damned. Like Tampa one definitely has to be in the mix here. You know, Point and Kucherov on the top power play. Edmonton penalty kill, not great. Mike Smith, not great. 5-on-5 matchup, very good for Tampa one. So yeah, Tampa one definitely in play for me. Their ownership is a bit high, but you know, I still think they still have good positive leverage in our top stacks. They're coming in the top 2 stack at 25.7% with ownership at 18.5. So they have positive leverage here. So it's not like you're jamming in a team coming off 8 days of rest with awful leverage. This is a decent leverage spot. So I'm fine with Tampa one here. You want to go to Tampa two. I think that's okay, but like I think I'd stick to, just adding in a Killorn or adding in a Stamkos for some more power play if you're going to use someone Tampa won here. And then, with Killorn, Stamkos, Joseph getting the top comp, that means they're going to get McDavid. And you look at our projected ownership right now, McDavid, it's 5%. Like, that's horrifying. Because, like, I always talk about, like last night I talked about not wanting offing Matthews because he's going to be chalk. And if he has a huge game like he did, someone's going to come along for the ride. Now, here, McDavid's 5%. Like, I think if he's going to come in around that or even like 10%, like, I think he's a very, very good one-off. If you want to pair him with Hyman for some power play correlation, I think that's fine. But, like, low-owned McDavid, like, how often are you going to get low-owned McDavid? Let alone low-owned McDavid on a 5-game slate. So I think he's an elite one-off tonight. You want to add in Hyman, go ahead. You want to go to the second line, I think that's fine. If you believe the rest factors are going to be a problem for Tampa, that second line is fine. The top line for Tampa has very good numbers both ways. So, you want to add in Draisaitl or Kane for some power play correlation. Like, the Tampa penalty kill is not bad, but it's not. It's league average is probably what it's like, middle of the pack. So I think power play stacking Edmonton's completely fine because that's what you normally do with Edmonton anyway. Because these 5-on-5 lines are just horrific. So, but I think the top lines, both top lines are my favorite in this game.
I want to talk about Edmonton real quick because it's been a long time since these two teams have really played. Think last year we were playing inside the divisions. They haven't played so far this year. At least Connor McDavid hasn't been in there. And the year before was the shortened COVID season, and McDavid didn't get to play Tampa there either. He hasn't played them since 2018. They went into Tampa back in 2018. I know this is 4 years ago, but the Tampa team is largely the same. Like Point, Kucherov, Cirelli, Killorn, Platt, Stamkos, Hedman, Sergachev, Vasilevsky. All those guys were there 4 years ago. Edmonton went in and just beat the hell out of him. Put up 6 goals on Vasilevsky. Like, it's just to prove that this can happen, right? And Edmonton has been playing well. Like, I know, we definitely do like to poke a little fun at the Edmonton Oilers because they do tend to shoot themselves in the foot more often than not. But they're 5-1-0 in their last 6 games, scoring at least 3 goals in every single one of those games. And, their expected goal share since Christmas is like 54%. They've been good. So honestly, I think I'm playing single entry tonight. I don't say it seems foolish to just pass on McDavid here. Like you said, even as a one-off at 5%, like 5% on a 5-game slate. This is a guy that's probably going to end up leading the league in points this year. And he's 5% on a 5-gamer. And he's going to get the Stamkos matchup, which is a 50% coin flip line as it is. So, yeah, I like Edmonton 1. Edmonton 2 was in the Power Plays article. I don't like them as much, knowing that matchup is probably going to be Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov. So, McDavid and Hyman, especially for me. On the Tampa side, it would be Point and Kucherov. I really like that matchup. As you said, going in Edmonton 2 should be a track race. If there's some rust, then we're kind of boned. But if there's not, then it's an incredibly advantageous matchup for Tampa Bay 1. On the blue line, kind of weird what to do with McDonough and Chernak here. I think McDonough is the guy to use on DraftKings, but over on FanDuel, he's a lot more expensive. He's like $4,900 on FanDuel, and I think Chernak is considerably cheaper. So probably use Chernak over on FanDuel. McDonough for me over on DraftKings. On the Edmonton side, like Cody Ceci at 2,600, he's a guy that can get there with peripherals. All he needs is a shot and some blocks. It doesn't take much for him. I don't mind Cody Ceci at 2,600. Any other defensemen stick out to you?
Yeah, like Bouchard played like 14 minutes last game, but he was on the third pair. Barry was up on the top pair. Like, I just don't understand why they just mess around with Bouchard so much. He's starting on the top pair tonight, so hopefully he gets the minutes. If I knew he'd get 20 minutes, I'd say Evan Bouchard, but the minutes concern me. And again, on Tampa, outside of correlating, it's going to be McDonough or Chernak. DK, on DK, like Sergachev 4,200, I think is fine as well.
Yeah, I should mention Sergachev is on the top pair with Victor Hedman. People might think maybe that cuts into time and minutes and all that, but like,
bump him.
yeah, look at Devin Taves next to Cale Makar. Look at Mackenzie Weegar next to Aaron Ekblad, right? Like, as long as the line is good and they're generating a lot of offense, it's perfectly fine.
And also with Ruda and Foot on the third pair, like normally Sergachev's on the third pair. With that third pair, Tampa's just going to play Ruda and Foot 12 minutes, and all of the other four guys are going to play like 23 to 25.
Yeah, I agree completely. Love those. Love that top. Well, I like McDonough and Chernak, especially for cheap here tonight. I noticed just one quick question. Is it okay to go Edmonton 1 and Tampa 1 in the same lineup? I think it's fine, especially where it doesn't look like they're going to be matching up against each other. And it's certainly going to be a unique build on a 5-game slate. What do you think?
Yeah. I would avoid, game stacking lines going against each other, but both top lines not going against each other. I think it's perfectly fine.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's move this along. We're going to go to Dallas. Dallas has a 3.1 goal total. They're at home to Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Jets have a 2.5 implied goal total. It's going to be Jake Ottinger starting for Dallas, Connor Hellebuck in net for Winnipeg. Andrew Kopp looks like he's going to be out for Winnipeg. He had been playing on the third line. Sometimes he gets moved up and all that, but he's going to be out. Harkins, I think, takes a spot on the third line. It's not that big of a deal for DFS. Just want to mention it. As far as Dallas goes, their lines are very, very weird because, as you see in our lineup builder, or if you're looking at any of the lineup sites, the second line should read Raffle, Sagan, and Gurianov. Now, none of the Dallas Stars beat writers over the last 3 days of practices that I found, and I've scoured articles, Twitter, I've even been watching press conferences. I haven't been able to find anything about specific line combinations, but the coach said he wasn't happy with the old line combinations that they had. So I'm assuming what we have now is what they're going to go with. But this is what they started their last game with, and they broke them up by the third period because they weren't playing that well. So that's kind of the two sides of the coin here, is that, it looks like the lineup that we have is the lineup that should be the lineup at warm-up. But at the same time, they might not last longer than the first period. Sorry. What do you think here, Josh?
Yeah. I'm not super interested in the Dallas depth anyway. I mean, if you can tell me Ben and Radulov are going to stick together for the whole game, maybe I have some interest in MME and that two-man. But really, this is about, on the Dallas side, Dallas won. They're going to get the Scheifele-Wheeler-Stastny matchup, which is a very advantageous matchup for Dallas one. Like, Scheifele, Wheeler, Stastny, 5-on-5, not great at all. They're maybe break even at best. So, Dallas one coming in with very good leverage in our top stacks tools on DraftKings to project it around 9%, which is excellent for Dallas one. I think they'll probably be around that just because, they've been bad the past 2 games and they are still really expensive. But I think going back to them in GPPs makes a lot of sense here. This is a very good 5-on-5 matchup. The Jets penalty kill has improved since the coach got fired. Still not great, middle of the pack, which is a vast improvement for them. But I do really like Dallas one. On the Winnipeg side, like, if you've watched our shows before, I have a Winnipeg one flow chart. If they're in a bad matchup, you play them because they always get there. If they're in a good matchup, you fade them because they suck. They're in a bad matchup tonight. I'm going to fade them. I'm going to go against the flow chart and watch my money burn because they always get there in bad matchups. Like, going against Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson is not a fun time. So, and they're bad 5-on-5 as it is. So I'm out on Winnipeg one. I'm in on Winnipeg two. Now, I was talking in our Discord chat earlier about how Connor and Dubois really haven't been that great without Cole Perfidi, but they do have a sample with Evgeny Svechnikov, who is there now, and it is pretty good. So it's better with Perfidi, but Svechnikov is probably the second best option they can put there. So I'm in on that second line. They're going to get Raffle, Sagan, Gurianov, or Peterson, Ben, Radulov, which are both advantageous matchups for that Winnipeg second line. Dubois, Connor, both on the top power play, avoiding, Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson. That's important. So I'm in on Dallas one, Winnipeg two.
So I just want to mention one thing about pricing. Robertson and Pavelski have some weird pricing between the two sites today. And like, they're not the exact same player, but they're pretty close. Pavelski's $1,000 more on DraftKings, but he's cheaper over on FanDuel. And I'm not quite sure why the case is over on FanDuel, why he's cheaper. I'm assuming it's just, just some sort of mispricing, but it was just something funny I thought I'd mention. I agree with you on Winnipeg 1. This isn't really a good matchup for them. And the thing is, by our top stacks, people aren't fading them. You know what I mean? We have them coming in nearly 8% as a top 2 stack percentage and nearly 9% ownership. Like, that's not crazy ownership or anything.
Like our boy Big Turk, he ain't fading Winnipeg 1 tonight.
Yeah, exactly. So Winnipeg 1, like, coming in like a little bit over owned. It's not really a great spot. Like, the Dallas penalty kill is elite. Like, it's great. And they don't take very many penalties. The problem is Jake Ottinger hasn't really held up his end of the bargain as far as penalty kill save percentage goes. So when the only problem with the penalty kill is the goaltender has been bad in a small sample, like, that kind of worries me. And that's another thing that pushes me away from Winnipeg 1. I agree with you. Winnipeg 2, with Evgeny Svechnikov, 3.2 expected goals for per 60 minutes, controlling 58% of the expected goal share. It's been a really good line this year. And if Hintz and company are going to play up against Scheifele, that, like you said, that leaves Connor Dubois and the rest of the boys against the depth from Dallas. And the Dallas depth, like I kind of alluded to, the coach hasn't been very happy with it. Let's just say that. So I agree with you on both cases. Dallas 1, Winnipeg 2. As far as I think Dallas 3 actually isn't too bad as a filler. Ben and Radulov have actually been playing to a very high pace. 125 shot attempts for and against per 60 minutes, which, like, I can't believe for those guys. But as they're giving up more defensively than they're creating. But we're talking about a third line filler on a 5-game slate. Yeah, I think like a 2-man of Ben and Radulov or something like that is fine if you need a deep filler. Otherwise, it is Dallas 1, Winnipeg 2. On the blue line, Josh Moore, like, they're still playing Josh Morrissey like 24 minutes a game. Not entirely sure why, but he's getting the lion's share of the ice time. So I guess Morrissey is fine. There's really not a lot I like on either side here. Not for defensemen. Unless you're correlating like Klingberg with Dallas 1 or something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, correlating Klingberg's fine. Ethel Lindell at 3,600 is an interesting option. He's been in the mid to high 4s at times. So if you need a mid-range punt, Ethel Lindell, I think, is fine. Miro Heiskanen, 4,400 is also fine if you're in that mid-range. But I'm probably just correlating or looking elsewhere.
One question in chat says, I know nothing about hockey DFS, but I'm playing tonight. Is it good to stack games like NBA? It's not like a 5-game slate like tonight. If you want to stack both Tampa Bay and Edmonton in the same lineup, I think it's just fine. But once you get to like 10 and 11 and 12 game slates, that's where I tend to move away from game stacking. But if you have a lineup you like that projects well on, in a game stack in a 5-game slate, I'd say go for it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's all personal preference too. Like, if you don't like game stacking, don't game stack. If you find a lineup you like and it's in the same game, go for it. I mean, I'm not huge on game stacking on big slates just because I feel like if it's like a 10-game slate, more than one game is going to go off. So, but on the shorter the slate, the more likely it is to do well. Like, not more likely it is to do well, but like both sides going off, there's less teams to choose from. If it's 2 high-powered lines, then go for it.
Yeah, I agree with that. As long as that's my basic rule of thumb. As long as the slate's not too big, I will definitely at least consider game stacking. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our top stacks, our lineup builder, and a whole lot more. Of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95 a week. Please note that Fantasy Cruncher is an add-on and can be easily added on with these packages at checkout, but it is not included in the base package. However, it is a very valuable addition to your DFS arsenal if you're looking to multi-enter contests. Stop guessing, start winning, join Awesemo Plus today. All right. Before we get too much further, we're nearly halfway through the show. Warm-ups are about to start. If you guys could, please throw us a thumbs up. Click that like button. It'll help us. Click the subscribe button. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to this channel and keep apprised of all the shows that we have across several sports, basically every day. All right, Josh, let's get to our next game here. Buffalo, 3.0 implied goal total going into Montreal. Montreal has a 3.0 implied goal total. People should know the Montreal Canadiens are going to be one of the highest owned stacks of the night here tonight, and I never thought I would say that at any point this season. The Montreal top line is coming in projected nearly 20% ownership, which makes sense when you see their price. They're very, very cheap. But there's stuff to play on both sides here, Josh. We have a 3 total on both teams. What do you think?
Yeah, not even the highest projected ownership line in this game. Buffalo 1 is projected for higher ownership. The good news is, if you like both of them, you could game stack because they're not going to go against each other. Montreal 1 at home, we'll see, secondary matchups. So you're going to see probably Peyton Krebs, Casey Middlestad, Dylan Cousins, something like that, or even the third line. Montreal sends out Jake Evans, Paul Byron against top comp. So, they'll go out against Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck, Jeff Skinner. I think both lines are in play tonight. Buffalo 1 actually our top stack in our top stacks tool, 28% chance to be a top 2 stack, means 72% chance that they won't be. Some people see that they're the top stack and they automatically think they're going to get there. That's not how this works. 28% chance to be a top 2 stack tonight. I think they're a very good play. They're fully correlated on the power play. Montreal has a terrible penalty kill. Buffalo 1 definitely makes some sense. But since Marty St. Louis has taken over, Caulfield, Suzuki, Anderson have been playing big minutes. Caulfield is no longer shooting 1%. He's been getting more minutes. They're going to get depth of Buffalo, which is god-awful. Buffalo also has a bad penalty kill. So this, as Niehaus would say, our pal Niehaus, this game could be a festival. It's going to be some pretty ugly hockey. This is 2 bad teams, but, bad teams score too. So I like both top lines. On Montreal side, if you want to go down to, Hoffman Gallagher for, a bit lower ownership with top power play correlation, I think that's fine. Like Mike Hoffman is just a power play specialist at this point in his career. Like that's pretty much, he may score 5-on-5, but he doesn't add much defensively. He does most of his work on the power play. So you want to add them in for some power play correlation, that's fine. Buffalo 1, I think Peyton Krebs makes her an interesting one-off. He's 2,700. He's projected at 2%. He's going to be on that top power play. Like I said, Montreal penalty kill, awful. If you can get a 2% player for that cheap on the top power play against an awful penalty kill, not a bad one-off. I don't know why it just abruptly ended.
Not a bad one-off. I just want to talk about Montreal real quick. I am a Montreal fan. We should mention to people that maybe don't play NHL all the time. The Montreal Canadiens replaced their coach 6 games ago, and it was like the coach before that was just terrible. He was awful. Jeff Petrie, their defenseman, said in an interview in the media that the defensive system was way too complicated and that their new one is greatly simplified. They're playing more man-to-man coverage in the zone, and it's helping them move the puck out easier, which, it makes sense to me when you simplify things for the players and just kind of let their natural talents take over. That seems like something that could work for a team that had typically been at the bottom of the league, both offensively and defensively this entire season. Now, with all that said, we're still not looking at huge samples here. And the way Montreal has been running their lines since Martin St. Louis took over behind the bench was Jake Evans and Paul Byron against top lines. Jake Evans and Paul Byron don't have a very good sample, whether it's a small sample under St. Louis or a large sample under the old coach, Dominic Ducharme. So if those guys are going to be going out against Buffalo 1 is in a great matchup here. I look at our top two stacks and they're coming in as one of the highest owned lines on the night, but it kind of makes sense to me. And they're still getting good leverage by our top two stack percentage. So yeah, I do like Buffalo 1. Buffalo 2 is where things get really interesting for me. This is why is because Cousins and Krebs don't have terrible shot share numbers together. And Casey Middlestat earlier in the season before injury was kind of looking all right. And I don't think this Buffalo line is going to get terribly difficult matchups. So, like you said, Krebs one-off is fine. Throwing Krebs with a power play stack for Buffalo, I think is also fine. I think you're also fine to like two-man, like Krebs and Cousins or Krebs and Middlestat or something like that. If you're looking for a super cheap two-man to go with your more expensive Dallas or Edmonton builds or Colorado builds or what have you. So, I love Buffalo 1 here. I think it's a great matchup for them. Buffalo 2, I think once you get to 20 max and 150 max and all that, you do have to consider them at least in some sort of two-man stacking. On the Montreal side, as I said, Montreal 1 coming in with incredibly high ownership. I will be fading them in my single entry. If those guys get there on a 5-game slate, kudos to them. But 9% top stack ownership against 19% ownership, I'm going to pass on that in my single entry. So out on Montreal 1, I think Montreal 2 is where things start to get a bit interesting for me with Gallagher and Hoffman, but they're coming in with incredibly high ownership as well. So would I rather play a 10% Brendan Gallagher or would I rather play a 2% Peyton Krebs? The answer is I'd rather play 2% Peyton Krebs. So that's just kind of my problem with Montreal here is the ownership is really just getting out of control. Let's remember at best, this might be a league average offensive team. It's just the ownership that is really driving everything here. The pricing that's really driving everything. So I do like Montreal 1 because they're going to get a ton of minutes. Just watch the ownership. It's going to be high. Montreal 1, Buffalo 1. Also don't mind some two-mans from Buffalo 2. On the blue line, Rasmus Dahlin, there were some question marks as to whether he would play or not. He was on the power play this morning for the team in their morning skate. I assume he's going to play. We're going to find out here in very short order. Don't mind playing him with your Buffalo power play stacks. On the Montreal side, not a whole lot I really like at that price. Honestly think Jeff Petrie might be their best play at 3,800 just for peripherals, even though he's not getting some power play time. What do you think here?
Yeah, Petrie, Sherratt, or Kulak. If you want to, I know Chris Weidman's on the power play. He just does nothing.
No.
I'd rather just get 20 minutes of Kulak and hopes he does something at min price.
Yeah, I agree with that. The goalies here, Dikembe Mutombo up against Craig Anderson. Which one do you like?
I'll just defer to the cheaper one. You know what I mean? Mutombo at home. Both should see a lot of shots because defense is not at a premium in this game.
Yeah, I agree with that. We're going to get to the next game, Colorado-Detroit, here in a second. Should mention, people are asking about Dylan Larkin. He is on the ice for warm-up, so expect him to play here tonight. Warm-ups are starting, so we're going to get through this very quickly. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited-time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you've played in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you'd like to speed up the process of getting access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, and that can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including tonight's $5,000 NHL Baller. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. Just see one question here. Are you supposed to punt one off defender? Seems like the optimal choice. One thing I do a lot, and it does bear out in data, is I pair defenseman with a goalie. So if I'm playing Sam Montembeault from Montreal tonight, I'll play Jeff Petrie with him. Or if I'm playing, Scott Wedgwood in Arizona, I might play with Jacob Chickenmer with him or something like that. That's where I correlate defenseman. It's either that or in a power play stack. Those are the main instances I correlate defenseman. Anything else stick out to you?
I mean, I like to correlate defense with my goalie as well. I particularly like to punt my defenseman with my goalie, so it's going to have to be a cheap shot blocker. If I'm going to pay up for a power play guy with my goalie, I might as well have some of their power play guys with them in my lineup. So more often than not, I like to pair a cheap punt with my goalie.
Yep. All right, let's keep moving this along. Colorado, 3.8 implied goal total going into Detroit. The Red Wings have a 2.3 implied goal total. Just want to mention, they're saying Joe Veleno is also on the ice. That gives them 13 forwards. So it could be that Dylan Larkin isn't quite ready, and he's going to have to see how he feels after warmups. This might
Giving
be
it a spin. Yeah.
This might be a little bit of a scramble. Just beware if you're starting Dylan Larkin. Could be a little bit of a change upcoming. Colorado 3.9, Detroit 2.3. For now, let's assume Dylan Larkin is playing for Detroit. Nathan McKinnon is not playing for Colorado. He is out. Mikko Rantanen likely to take a spot as the center on the top line, and then they'll move up Valeri Nichushkin to play with Rantanen, Gabriel Landeskog, leaving Burakovsky and Kadri down on the second line. All right, Josh, what do you think about this game?
So I would imagine on both sites, DraftKings I'm looking at in the lineup builder, the top line is all three wings. So I think that's why you see Kadri with some really high ownership, because he's going to be on the power play. He's a center. He's 6,700. Let you get in, I think a lot of people are going to go Kadri, Rantanen, and Landeskog. If that's what you want to do, I think that's fine. Detroit isn't a very good team, pretty bad defensively. Not like Montreal bad defensively, but they're pretty bad. That being said, like the line of Landeskog, Rantanen, and Nichushkin, they have a fairly sizable sample, and they've been very, very good. And they're going to get the third line of Detroit, which at best is break even. So like a break even line against this Colorado 1 line, I really, really do like Colorado 1 tonight. And with McKinnon out, Rantanen becomes a focal point on the power play. He's just going to be ripping shots left and right on the power play. So who's out?
Colorado lines. Landeskog, Rantanen, Burakovsky, top line. Second line of Nichushkin, Kadri, and JT Compher. Third line, Tyson Jost, Alex Newhook, Logan O'Connor. So top line of Landeskog, Rantanen, and Burakovsky. That if JT Compher is on the top power play unit, that means there's two guys on that second line on the top power play between Kadri and Compher.
Yeah, not a big Compher guy.
Me neither.
I still think it's fine. Like we've seen Burakovsky up on the top line of Landeskog, Rantanen and get a hat trick. I'd much prefer it to be Nichushkin, but Burakovsky's not a bad option either. He's cheaper than Nichushkin, $600. So I don't think it changes much in my analysis for, Colorado 1. They're still going to get a good matchup. They're still going to have two. Like, there's going to be two guys on the second line on the top power play now, which, JT Compher, Kadri, double center. Like, yeah, it's fine, but like Compher 3,200 top power play, late breaking news up there. Like, I know I'm not a huge fan of him, but like for 3,200 on the top power play, he's probably going to come in fairly low owned, probably the lowest owned of the Colorado power play guys. So you want to put him in, that's fine. I think, Colorado 1 still makes some sense. Colorado 1 with Kadri makes some sense. Colorado 1 with Compher makes some sense. So however you feel comfortable, you want to go three wings with Colorado 1 if you have a double center you like elsewhere, or you want to add in full Colorado 1 with Kadri, I think it's fine. On the Detroit side, if Larkin's in, they're going to get bottom six matchups of Colorado, and that's interesting. I kind of like Zadina Larkin, Raymond, just from an ownership play here right now. We're looking in the top stacks right now. They're coming in around 2% ownership, which draws me to Detroit 1 here, because the depth of Colorado with moving parts is not going to be very good. Pavel Francouz is the backup. He's okay, but like he's not great. So I think Detroit 1 makes some sense. Detroit 2 is their best line. Their numbers have started to fall off a little bit, but they are going to get Kadri, Compher, and Nichushkin. Like, I just don't think much of Compher as a two-way player. So that second line is interesting because Fabry and Bertuzzi are their best playmakers. So if you want to go to Detroit too, that's fine. So they're like, despite the news, there is a lot to like on both sides. And Detroit, is a great GPP play just because they're coming in so low owned.
Yeah, before I get to all that, just want to mention new Stars lines. We did mention how the coach had changed their lines in the last game. They're going with those changed lines. So Dallas 1 stays together, but the second line is Ben Sagan and Gurianov. Third line of Kiviranta, Peterson, and Radulov. I guess if you're going for fillers, it's back to Ben Sagan and Radulov, but that's going to be a low-owned combination too. Like all these new lines coming out at right now at warm-ups are going to be fairly low-owned, specific trio combinations in tournaments, just because it is new information.
Like Ben Sagan Gurianov, despite bad defensive numbers, have actually been really good offensively this season. So I don't know. They're going to be really low owned.
So here's where I am with Colorado Detroit, is that I like Detroit too a lot with the lineup that we thought we had. I honestly think that second line is going to be pretty good defensively. Like I know Comfort's not great, but like he's fine. At least he's an average like NHLer. Kadri's having an amazing season, and Valeri Nichushkin honestly is one of the most underrated two-way wingers in hockey. Like I actually like that Colorado 2 line more than I like Detroit 2, and I was very interested in Detroit 2 with the old line combinations. The problem is over on DraftKings, you're getting a double center with Kadri and Comfort. So you might have to figure out something a little bit funky with your line combinations, but I do like that Colorado second line here. Kadri, Nichushkin, Comfort. Like Nichushkin, very cheap, reasonable, 4,300 on DraftKings. Kadri and Comfort both going right to the top power play unit. I think that's more than reasonable in a 3.9 total, 3.8 total. Sorry, I really do like that Colorado second line now. Colorado top line's fine. I saw someone ask earlier, can you play Kadri with Rantanen? Like, absolutely. They're power play correlated, so that works just fine. If you need a center, you want to put Kadri and Rantanen and Landeskog together, you can go ahead and do that. On the Detroit side, I agree with you. I'm off Detroit 2 now. I don't like that matchup as much. Back to Detroit 1, assuming Dylan Larkin is in, we'll see. I'm sure we'll get the thumbs up or thumbs down for sure here shortly. But assuming he's in, that top line, Philip Zadina has really done a lot to kind of stabilize that top line. 55% shot share, 54% of the scoring chances with Zadina on that line, and being above water without Tyler Bertuzzi is not something that line had done a lot this year. So I agree with you. I agree with you on Detroit 1. So it's Detroit 1, Colorado 2 for me in this game. On the blue line, we've seen some price drops, especially on the Colorado side. Like Cale Makar, 6,600. We've seen that guy in the 8,000s. I think he makes a perfect one-off, akin to like Roman Josi last night. On the Detroit side, there's really not a lot I like unless I'm correlating Cedar with some top Detroit guys. What do you think here?
Yeah, I think Cale Makar, very interesting play. If you can't get up to him, Devin Tays, perfect one-off there. If you can't get to Makar, Reed Cedar, if you're correlating. Other than that, like you want to play Danny DeKeyser for some block shots, like I guess kind of a scene playing Danny DeKeyser in 2022, but you take the points where you can get them. Yeah,
I agree with that. We have an Awesemo Hall of Fame here at Awesemo.com where we like to celebrate our subscribers and their wins. And if you'd like to get in the Awesemo Hall of Fame, this is how you do it. You download the Awesemo avatar from Awesemo.com/avatar. You place in the top 3 of a contest with at least 5,000 contestants, and then you tweet those wins into the Awesemo Hoff account. Very first name, I think he's already popped up here in our chat. Producer Jordan Klein took down third. NBA All-Star Game Showdown for $600. Timothy Beachler took third in the 3K Minimax for NASCAR Daytona over the weekend. Hockey Cards Plus taking down second in NHL recently. We mentioned Ship My Money earlier, taking down first place in the 121 last night in NHL. So congrats to him again. If like to get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame, again, just finish in the top 3 of a contest with at least 5,000 contestants and tweet those wins into the Awesemo Hoff account. Just make sure you have the Awesemo avatar as your DFS profile. All right, we've only got we've got 15 minutes left, but we're going to try to get through this last game and then answer some questions we have at the end. Oh, I forgot to mention EMAC is on our Awesemo Hoff list as well. EMAC 2024. Los Angeles Kings 3.4 implied goal total. They're going into Arizona. Arizona Coyotes. All right. Sorry about that, fellas. We just had a little bit of a glitch. We were on the Los Angeles and Arizona game. Josh, I know you and I are both big fans of the Los Angeles Kings second line. What is it about that line that we like here tonight? What else do you like about this game?
Yeah, they just create a ton of chances. They have an expected goal still over 4, which is crazy because it's a huge sample. Arizona's not very good defensively. There's not a matchup that I worry about. So LA Kings 2 is my favorite line in this game. You want a power play stack, I think that's fine as well. On the Coyote side, I don't know how much Coyotes I'm going to get to here. Don't mind the Galchenyuk, Krause, Kessel line. I don't mind either of the top 6 lines, but like I just don't know how I'm going to get there in one lineup. I think it'd be more reserved for MME. The Kings aren't great defensively, so I think there could be some goals in this game from the Arizona side. So you want to go to Keller, Schmaltz, I think that's fine. Krause, Kessel, Galchenyuk, I think is fine. But for me, this is a Kings game.
Yeah, I want to mention the thing with Los Angeles is they're not generating a lot of offense. Their last 100 minutes, 1.9 expected goals for per 60 minutes, 27 scoring chances per 60 minutes. Those aren't really great numbers offensively at all. What I have noticed is that they play to a slower pace on the road than they do at home. Obviously maybe matchups have something to do with that here, but I'm not overly concerned about the top line matchup from Arizona here. Arizona is a 38% scoring chance top line. They control 38% of the scoring chances. They're not a good line at all. So I think going into Los Angeles it's a very advantageous matchup for that Kings top line. You see their ownership. They're coming in with positive leverage. So yeah, I think Kings is just fine, especially when you consider how bad that Arizona penalty kill is. It's one of the worst penalty kills in the league. So I do like Los Angeles here. As I mentioned in the Power Plays article, really a big fan of Los Angeles too. Their last 100 minutes still generating north of 4 expected goals per 60 minutes. They're still scoring. Trevor Moore, I think, is second on the team in shot rate over the last 6 weeks. We had a question in our Discord earlier today about maybe leaving him off. He shoots a lot, so I'm not sure there's anybody that I would necessarily just leave off that line. So Kings 1, great. Kings 2, just fine. I think they're starting to get expensive on DraftKings. Like 5,100 for Phil Deneau feels pretty expensive, but it is a good matchup. They are a great line. Not a huge problem with it. On the Arizona side, it's the Arizona second line that's really, really interesting to me here. Krause and Kessel in their sample together, 3.1 expected goals for per 60 minutes, 27 scoring chances per 60 minutes. They're generating as many scoring chances per 60 minutes as the LA Kings top line is. Like, that's just the way the numbers have worked out for them so far this year. Alex Galchenyuk leads the team by over 25% in individual expected goals generated per 60 minutes over their last 10 games. I think Arizona 2 makes a nice filler here tonight. If you want to use 2 out of 3, like Kessel and Galchenyuk or Galchenyuk and Krause, something like that, I think that's where I go. So on the Kings side, Kings 1, no problem. Love Kings 2. Arizona, it's about Arizona 2 for me. On the blue line, Jacob Chikrin, his price is very, very reasonable on DraftKings for 4,900, which we focus on. DraftKings peripherals like shots and block shots are much more important. So I don't mind Chikrin at 4,900. Dyson Mayo, 2,700, can certainly get a block shot bonus for the Kings. Drew Doughty, if you're correlating with your top Kings on the Los Angeles side, anything else stick out to you?
Not really. Matt Roy maybe at 4,100, Sean Dursey at 4K. But like, if I'm gonna play defenseman on the Kings, it's Drew Doughty. I think Jacob Chikrin's fine, Mayo's fine. Ghost even at 4,200 is okay. He'd probably be my third choice though.
Yeah, I agree with that. Don't mind Ghost, especially over on FanDuel where you need the points more than you necessarily need the blocks. All right. We don't have any upcoming shows because we are the only show today, but there was a PGA strategy show earlier today. So if you're playing some PGA, head on over to the Awesemo channel. PGA is coming after us. I thought PGA was before us. PGA is coming up after us. So stick around for PGA coming up just after us. Josh, I'm going to ask you for your hat trick picks and your goalies. My hat trick pick here for tonight is Tage Thompson from Buffalo. For a cheap goalie, I like Scott Wedgwood. For an expensive goalie, I like Jake Ottinger. Who sticks out to you?
Yeah, I like those. I like Montembeault. I like Vasilevsky tonight. Like, I know there's questions about the layoffs, but I just remember, Igor Shesterkin coming off COVID list without practice, shutting out the Sharks, facing 38 shots. So if anyone can shake off rust quick, it's probably goalies. So I don't mind Vasilevsky tonight. And my hat trick pick is going to be, man, I'm going to catch some heat for this one because I just slandered him, but JT Compher.
I love that. Yeah, okay. JT Compher and Tage Thompson are your hat trick picks. A couple of centers for you. We still have a few minutes to kill, so let's get through some questions. Justin Alberto asking, thoughts on Wedgwood as a goalie? I just mentioned I like Scott Wedgwood here tonight. Like, the Kings generate a lot of shots, but not necessarily a ton of goals. Like, they remind me of the Carolina Hurricanes teams from like 3, 4, 5 years ago when they weren't scoring like they are now. I don't mind Wedgwood as a goalie, especially how cheap he is. Like, I would rather play Wedgwood 7,300 at home against the Kings than Thomas Greiss 7,200 at home against Colorado. Do you have any like hard takes on Wedgwood or cheap goalies here tonight?
Cheap goalies always have issues. That's why they're cheap. So, Kings generate a ton of shots. If Wedgwood even gives up, like 3, but faces 40-something shots, he's not going to kill you on DraftKings with the bonus. Same thing with Greiss. Greiss might be a little bit more risky, but he's going to see a ton of shots as well. So, like, if you have a lean on one of those guys and you think they can get the saves bonus and sneak out a win, like, it's really good. DraftKings, you're just all about the volume. You know what I mean? Volume is more important. On FanDuel, the win is way more important, so you lean towards the big favorites. But on DraftKings, volume drives the bus.
Yeah, who runs the world? Volume runs the world. Chris Albers asks, missed the first half of the show. Any must plays? Edmonton, Tampa, Winnipeg, or Dallas? I assume like this is probably for cash games or something similar. Nikita Kucherov, obviously at 8,500, is one of the stronger plays, I think, on this slate, though. He is expensive and the team could have some rust. So there are caveats that come with that. Are there any must plays that you would say for cash games in the early couple games? The first couple games, sorry.
Yeah, Kucherov's definitely in playing cash. I mean, like, McDavid and GPP is at 5%. It's just screaming one off me. Mikko Rantanen's in a really good spot. There's just, it depends how you want to build. Kyle Connor shoots the puck a bunch. If you're looking for, high floor, Kyle Connor's a good high floor guy for cash.
Yeah, he is very high floor guy. He's had a wonderful season so far. I'm going to ask you just one more question, getting out of here. What are your chances of finding your way to the Awesemo Hall of Fame tonight?
DraftKings make the GPPs big enough? If I take down the 15, I will get into the Hall of Fame. So, listen, I'm a single entry player battling against the 150 maxes. If I win tonight, I'll do something for our loyal followers or something on top of being in the Hall of Fame. I like winning, but I also like giving back to the people, and I hope you guys win tonight.
Yeah, we definitely like to see some subscribers win. So hit us up if you do well tonight, or if you don't do well, or if you just have more questions, maybe about the late slate or tomorrow's slate, whatever. Josh and I usually around to answer some questions. All right, we got to get out of here. Lineups are about to lock. Good luck tonight, everybody. This will do it for us in our live before locks. NBA is back, so we're going to be back to our normal schedule, which shows in the middle of the afternoon. So thank you, everyone that has been tuning in over the last week for us. Good luck tonight. For producer Tyler, for our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris, Michael Clifford saying good luck tonight, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.